Something that greatly disappoints me about the defective edition of the GTA Trilogy is the fact that it was the first, and most likely, only, time we would be able to play a mainline GTA game on a Nintendo system. A portable Nintendo system at that. Imagine going back in time to 2005, and telling someone that in the future, you could be able to play Vice City or San Andreas on a portable Nintendo system. They would have a very baffled expression on their face, and immediately not believe you. This should have been a match made in heaven, but unfortunately, the monkey's paw had to strike yet again. GTA 5 is too big to properly work on the Switch, which is a shame, as I think that would be the only instance where Rockstar could re-release GTA 5, and receive hype, rather than backlash, from the community. GTA 4 feels a little more likely to work, but I'm not sure to be honest. The original PS2 trilogy though, perfect. This should have been one of the biggest third-party games for the Switch, but instead, it ended up being wasted potential. No pun intended. It especially hurts because the Nintendo Switch is known for having tons of third-party games, most of which turned out good, and every time a big third-party game gets announced for the Switch, I just think about how this trilogy turned out, and I immediately become frustrated at how bad it is. I want to be happy for fans of both Persona 5 and Nier Automata, when it was announced that both games would be getting Switch ports. But then I remember how this trilogy turned out, and how these two games actually turned out good, because not only was there care put into these games, but these Switch ports were also made by the people who made the original versions of these games. We'll go into more detail about that later. I understand that this might make me sound jealous of these two games, but you know what? Sometimes, jealousy is justified. Then again, the Switch versions of Kingdom Hearts are really bad from what I've heard. So yeah, that's karma for you. Actually, I don't know if you could even compare the two games. The Kingdom Hearts Switch ports are cloud games. I know next to nothing about cloud gaming, but from what little I know about it, it basically means you need the internet to play it. So if you live in an area that has either no internet, or very poor internet, you're pretty much screwed. Now, this sounds absolutely awful, and it makes the games even worse than they already are, but I imagine that aside from that, there aren't any glitches or anything like that within the games. Obviously stuff like the gummy ship mini games and the enemy health bars not being visible by default will be present, but I'll be amazed if there existed a version of Kingdom Hearts that didn't have those flaws. At the end of the day though, it doesn't matter, because I'm basically comparing trash to garbage. The thing that makes this game all that more insulting, is that in 2017, Rockstar re-released their 2011 game, L.A. Noire, for the PS4, Xbox One, and indeed, Nintendo Switch, and they turned out good. So what happened here? Why was Rockstar able to make a good remaster for L.A. Noire, but not the GTA Trilogy? Well, it's actually quite simple. Rockstar didn't make this game. Well, technically they did. They made the original versions of these games, but they didn't make these remastered versions. These remasters were done by a studio known as Grove Street Games, and it wouldn't take long before it was revealed that Grove Street Games was actually War Drum Studios. Yes, the same people that made the mobile ports of the trilogy, and the same people that made the terrible Xbox 360 and PS3 remaster of San Andreas, which in turn was based on the mobile version of the game. In addition, they also made the mobile ports for GTA Liberty City Stories, GTA Chinatown Wars, Max Payne, and Bully. In other words, they are essentially a studio that ports console games onto mobile devices. Definitely not the type of studio you would hire to remaster 3 classic games for modern-day consoles in order to celebrate the 20th anniversary of one of the 3 games. And when I say remaster, I don't mean like with the 7th generation San Andreas remasters, where aside from the shinier and uglier character models, the differences are low. No, I mean completely updating the graphics for these games. Even then, it's not so much updating the graphics, as it is using artificial intelligence to upscale the textures, and then manually fixing certain details that they have, which explains why the game looks, like this. Now, I don't want to hate on Grove Street Games, or War Drum Studios, or whatever you want to call them. They are a very small gaming company, that makes mobile ports of console games. I imagine they tried their hardest to make these remasters good. They were simply not the right people to handle this project. It is way too big of a project for them. Rockstar is the one that's responsible for how these games turned out, not Grove Street Games. Rockstar should have either remastered these games themselves, or get a studio competent enough to do it for them. Better yet, maybe they shouldn't have remastered the games in the first place. Maybe they should have just taken the original PS2 versions of these games, and slapped them onto a PS4 disc, or a Nintendo Switch cartridge, or whatever, and call it a day. Yes, it would be lazy, but maybe it would have been for the better if they were lazy this time. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Rockstar had it all wrong. It was GTA 5 expanded and enhanced that was supposed to be a heavily updated version of GTA 5, while the GTA Trilogy would just be a simple re-release of the original PS2 games on modern-day systems, not the other way around. I'm not against the idea of remastering the GTA Trilogy or anything like that, but I think it would have been significantly better if they just ported the original versions of the trilogy onto modern-day gaming systems. At least then, we wouldn't have whatever this is. I have a theory that might explain why the game turned out the way that it did. It's all because of GTA 5 expanded and enhanced. Hear me out. GTA 5 expanded and enhanced was first announced in June of 2020, with a release date set for the holiday season of 2021. Later, on May 18, 2021, Rockstar would release an article on their website, confirming that the game would be released on November 11th of that year. That would also be the same article where they would tease what they planned to do for GTA 3's 20th anniversary, which would later occur in October. However, on September 9th, Rockstar released a second trailer for GTA 5 Expanded and Enhanced, announcing that the game has been delayed to March of 2022. It would later be confirmed that the game would be coming out on March 15th specifically. Almost 1 month later, on October 8th, Rockstar would announce the definitive edition of the GTA Trilogy, with a proper trailer for the game coming out on October 23rd, and in that trailer, it was announced that the trilogy would be released on November 11th, which was the original release date for GTA 5 Expanded and Enhanced. Now, my theory is that originally, GTA 5 Expanded and Enhanced was going to be released on November 11th, while the GTA Trilogy would be released on March 15th. However, sometime between May 18th and September 9th, 2021, Rockstar decided to swap the release dates for the two games. If this game had come out on March 15th, I imagine it would have been way better. The character models wouldn't look awful, and the glitches would be fixed. Swapping the release dates and having it be released much earlier than intended would definitely mess up the development time. So the question is, why would they swap the release dates? The most likely reason is so that the trilogy could tie in much closer to the 20th anniversary of GTA 3. I guess Rockstar thought March 15th would have been too far away from the anniversary, so they moved the game much closer to it, and delayed GTA 5 Expanded and Enhanced to the original release date of the trilogy. In other words, what most likely happened is that they rushed out this anniversary game, so that it could tie in closer to said anniversary, and also have it out in time for the holiday season. Ah yes, because the last time something like that happened, it turned out so good, didn't it? Time really is a flat circle after all. Even if this somehow isn't true, the fact that they prioritized GTA 5 Expanded and Enhanced over the GTA Trilogy is bad enough. There was an almost 2-year gap between the reveal and release of GTA 5 Expanded and Enhanced. In comparison, the gap between the reveal and release of the GTA Trilogy was only a little over a month. They genuinely thought that a 9th-gen port of a game they've been milking for far too long, with barely any changes from its 8th-gen counterparts, was more important than a remaster of the 3 games that made them famous, and was intended to celebrate the 20th anniversary of a game that influenced countless other video games, including the best-selling video game of all time. These people, when will they ever learn? It's no surprise that most people have essentially forgotten about this game's existence. After the initial backlash died down, the game would just fade away from public memory. Rockstar would barely acknowledge this game's existence after it was released, instead choosing to go back to posting about GTA Online and Red Dead Online, before eventually neglecting the latter one as well. We'll talk about that when the right time comes. 2 patches were released for the game, in an attempt to save this sinking ship. The first patch was released in February, and the second patch would be released in October. Yes, October. By that point, it was too late. Nobody cared about this game anymore. It was a failed project that had so much potential, and there was no point in trying to fix the glitches and make the game good anymore. You can polish a turd all you want. It's still a turd. This should have been one of the biggest games of 2021. This should have been a return for Rockstar Games, after humiliating us fans twice, with the 2 trailers for GTA 5 expanded and enhanced. This should have been something that would hold us over, until Rockstar finally finished the main course. But instead, it ended up leaving us even hungrier for a new GTA game than ever before. Instead of being the first step in the right direction, the game ended up being part of the problem. It is an absolutely insulting game, with barely any redeeming qualities. There are only 2 redeeming qualities that this game has. Number 1. Although most of the character models look terrible, I think Claude's model looks pretty good. In fact, he might be the only character across all 3 games to have a good character model. I'm not necessarily sure how it compares to his original PS2 model, but that doesn't matter. At least he doesn't look terrible. That's all that matters. I guess Tommy looks fine in some parts as well, but other than that, the character models range from looking okay to looking terrible. Number 2. As far as I'm aware, there is only one new addition to these games, but thankfully, this one new addition is actually a great one. The PSP version of GTA Chinatown Wars was the first GTA game to introduce a weapon wheel, while GTA 5 was the first GTA game to introduce a radio wheel. These wheels return in this trilogy, and I think that they are a great addition. It makes perfect sense to add these wheels into the trilogy. Never again would you have to constantly press a button over and over again, until you found a weapon or radio station you liked. The fact that these wheels were all designed with the aesthetic of their respective games makes them even better. It's the only big change that this game has, but at least it's a great change. Unfortunately, one decent character model and a great addition taken from the more recent games are not enough to save this trilogy. You know, if there's one thing that's worse than a bad game, it's a bad game that had so much potential to be a fantastic game. I know that this is kind of a redundant statement, since technically speaking, every bad video game has the potential to be good, but what I mean is, depending on what game we're talking about, the impact it would have if it was good would vary. Let me explain what I'm trying to say. Nobody would care about E.T. if it was a good game. A lot of things would obviously be different if it was good. The video game crash would either not happen at all, or the chances of it happening would significantly decrease. If this game was good, but absolutely nobody would care about the game itself. If it was good, it wouldn't be seen as a gaming masterpiece. Proof that video games are art, or anything like that. No, it would be seen as an average movie-based game. That's no different from any other movie-based game from the same time period. Nobody would care about Superman 64 if it was a good game. It wouldn't stand out when compared to any other Superman game that came out before it, nor would it stand out when compared to any other Superman game that came out after it. Big rigs over the road racing would be seen as a generic racing game with trucks, if it was a good game. Not a single person would care about it if it was a good game. In comparison, you have a game like Sonic 06, which if it was good, would completely change a lot of things. And yes, I get it, the game is old news. There is no point in hating on it nowadays, but still, if it was good, it would be widely considered one of the best Sonic games. The bad reputation Sonic had wouldn't happen. The Sonic franchise would be drastically different if 06 turned out good. And who knows if any of the post-06 Sonic games would even exist, if 06 ended up being good. Drake of the 99 Dragons is another bad game that, if it was good, it would be seen as a classic. The game has a cool premise. It has a cool comic book aesthetic. This game has cult classic written all over it. I could easily imagine people online praising this game as an underrated masterpiece within the Xbox's library of games. Unfortunately, it will never get that sort of treatment. Of course, there's a chance that if the game was good, it would have launched a massively successful franchise. But I don't know. Looking at this game just gives me heavy cult classic vibes, if that makes any sense. One more example, and I don't care if you think I am biased for putting this in. Kingdom Hearts had the potential to be as good as everyone else claims it to be. I really wanted to like it, but it is just filled to the brim with unacceptable flaws. The pointless gummy ship mini games. The enemy's health bars not being visible by default. The confusing storyline. The fact that the cutscenes are unskippable, and you have to sit through them every time you want to try and beat a boss. The fact that the developers made a version of the game where you could skip the cutscenes, but then only release it in Japan for reasons that we will most likely never know, and then not release it outside of Japan until over a decade after the game came out, on a system that I just so happen to not own. It's just a mess of a game. I've gotten super curious recently about Kingdom Hearts 2, and if it actually is better than the first game, but because of the storyline, and because I don't know if I have the courage to tackle this beast, I've put off playing the game. I just really hate Kingdom Hearts. It gives me a headache just thinking about all of the flaws it has. I swear, that Clayton cutscene will be forever engraved into my brain. If I ever have kids, and I catch them watching Tarzan, I'm immediately running up to them, grabbing the remote, and turning off the TV as fast as possible, because there is absolutely no way I am ever letting my kids bring back traumatic memories like that. Sorry, I got a little bit carried away. Let's go back on topic. The bottom line is, if the GTA trilogy turned out good, a lot of good things would have come out of it. GTA 3 would have a fantastic 20th anniversary. Rockstar's reputation would considerably improve. It would have been one of the biggest games of 2021. We would be able to play Vice City and San Andreas on a portable Nintendo system, which are two things that nobody thought we would ever be able to play those games on. It would have been a great way to introduce these early 2000s classics to a new generation, while also allowing us early 2000s kids to relive glorious childhood memories. The list goes on. I first played the original PS2 trilogy in April 2020, during the peak of, well, you know what, and these three games played a massive part in helping me get through that tough period of time. When it was announced that we were getting remasters of these games, I was beyond excited, especially since I was very depressed during the last few months of 2021, and I thought that this game would help cheer me up, but all it did was make me feel even worse. I hate this game. I really, truly, hate this game. I don't need to play this game to know that it's garbage. All I have to do is watch the various glitch compilation videos that are all over YouTube, and that would be enough proof for me that the game is garbage. And I swear, every time I go to a GameStop, or a Walmart, or a Target, or anything like that, it's always there. Whenever I go to my local Target, and I head to the gaming section, the game is always there. It doesn't matter if I go to the Nintendo section, the Xbox section, or the PlayStation section, it's always there, haunting me. It won't leave me alone. It tries to lure me in. It tries to convince me to buy it, to waste $60 on a game that is a broken piece of trash. And it feels so unbelievably tempting. The Switch version in particular is extra aggressive. It knows that I've always wanted to play a mainline GTA game on a Nintendo system. The morbid curiosity is too much for me. It's a miracle I am able to break free from its deception, and get away from it. And yet, every time I come across it at a store, it's always trying to lure me in. Why won't it leave me alone? Why won't the nightmares end? What have you done, Rockstar? Why would you do this to me? Ugh, I don't feel so good. I feel like I'm gonna do this and hidej nos app pledge jax bro app wedge. Sorry about what just happened. It appears I went completely insane just thinking about this game. Thankfully, a nice man heard me, and took me to the hospital, where I was able to make a full recovery. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find the man who saved my life, but according to the doctor, it was someone named Friskrat. Huh. Why does that name sound so familiar? Anyways, the GTA trilogy will forever be a stain on the legendary GTA franchise. To think that prior to this game, we never had a truly bad GTA game. Well, you know what they say, nothing lasts forever. The fact that the only bad GTA games are also 3 of the greatest installments in the series is even more insane. But since the doctor warned me not to say or think of anything relating to this game, I will have to end the video here. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to check out my other videos, particularly my other Rockstar videos, if you're interested in seeing me deal with the other shenanigans this company pulls off. And if you enjoy my other videos, then maybe consider subscribing. It would be greatly appreciated. I have a 7th, and currently, final video, about Rockstar, which will talk about how they abandoned both Red Dead Redemption 2 and Red Dead Online, and the whole Save Red Dead Online movement that spawned from it. But that will be at a much later date. For now, there are other things that I wish to talk about instead. Thank you everyone for watching this video, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.